Friends, colleagues and listeners, here we are, and we're in Dubai for the World Cargo Symposium, and lots of people here, but somebody who's part of that lots is Glyn Hughes, who I think everybody's aware of. Glyn, Director General, TIACA. Lovely to have you again, as it is always.
Thank you, Chris. It's always a pleasure to speak to you, my friend.
Thank you. Now, everybody knows what TIACA is, and everybody's heard you and Stephen, and everybody, this is why we're doing what we're doing, etc. But I just want to get a more personal viewpoint from yourself now, okay? So as the DG, I just want to ask you, what do you think have been your biggest successes to date?
Wow. Well, I've actually just passed 4 years with TIACA, which has flown by.
Yep.
And I have to give full credit to the TIACA board. Very engaged, very inspirational in terms of how they have a strong vision for the future. And I think looking back on these last 4 years, there's really 3 things that stand out most for me in terms of things that give me personal pleasure and reward. The first thing is the fact that we've embraced the sustainability agenda. We do an annual survey of the industry, which really helps galvanize further action. Yep. We do an awards program to spotlight on innovation and successes. And we've really kind of embraced the agenda because it touches every sector of our membership. So I think that's something which is really, really great. Second area, probably an extension of that, is how we are really viewed by the international organizations. People like ICAO.
Yep.
We're actually on the top of their list. When they have issues related to aviation, in the past, they might have ignored the cargo view. They don't ignore the cargo view because they realize that TIACA represents such a huge breadth of the industry that they value our opinion. So that means we've got a really strong voice about liberalization, about the future of unmanned vehicles, drones, about safety, which I think is really, really critically important for the growth and success of the industry. Third area, which is really probably a consequence of A and B, is membership growth.
Yep.
The last few years have been tough for the industry. People have been challenged on a cost and financial perspective, but every year we've grown membership. I think one year we had a 16% growth. I mean, it's been really sizable, and that shows that what we're doing is what the industry is looking for us to do. So that's really kind of 3 areas that have given me some great comfort and reward, pleasure.
Yeah, no, that's good. And you know myself, I got opinions on the sustainability, which I think, of course, you only got to look around what's going on. But I do think too many people are overcommitting, and too many people are overemphasizing things that they're doing instead of the realities, and bringing it back a little bit, and then not missing targets.
That's crucial, yes.
Whereas I think so many people have pushed the boat so far out, it's too far of a jump now to get back in the boat and sail away.
Well, I think that's a really well-made point, because one of the other roles that we play in this is to try and make sure people don't just focus on one part of sustainability. Yeah. It's not just about the environmental aspect. It's not just about the use of sustainable aviation fuel. It's about bringing in the next generation, making this a great place to work. It's about creating that longevity, which we have to, and you and I have spoken on many occasions about things you're doing to motivate and energize young entrepreneurs or even career changers to say, look at air cargo. Yep. We are helping the industry, we're helping the globe, we're protecting people when it comes to vaccinations, we're supporting humanitarian, we're powering global trade when we're allowed to, if there's not restrictions of tariffs and artificial restrictions in place. But this industry does so much good that we need to get that message out there so that it has that constant stream of next generation entrepreneurs coming in. Yeah,
no, I agree with you. And something that Willie Walsh said, he's talking about he doesn't want to see that targets have been too optimistic, and then as a result of not achieving them, there'll be penalties and financial fines and stuff like that, because I think that totally defeats the whole object. Yeah. And I think if people sell rainbows, they'll never deliver reality. And I just feel,
Actually, that's another good point, because I think we're going to have something, also if you look at digitalization of the industry. When I was with IATA, we set the 100% EOA bill, 100% E-freight, 100% XML. You never achieve that. And when you don't achieve it, people say, we knew you'd never achieve it.
And we're still talking about it.
And they give up about it. I much rather focus on those who are doing rather than those who are not doing.
Yeah.
And I don't particularly like 100% targets and this type of stuff because, as you say, it sets up for failure. I'd rather say we would aspire to all be doing this, but let's focus on who is actually doing stuff. And it comes the same as sustainability. There are some people who've invested huge amounts and put in great programs, whether or not it's for people, planet, their buildings, their facilities, their aircraft, the way they deal with their customers. And I think if we can shine a spotlight on that, it will hopefully inspire and motivate others to follow suit, rather than saying, you must all do the following.
I agree. And I also think if you do it in steps, it's like any step of stairs. If you try and jump it in one go, you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
But if you do it in steps and those steps are realistic, and then I think if you use the positive examples of the people that have already started to do it, so they can see a return on investment, not necessarily in financial terms, but all the things that are happening as a result, I think then people will start to see that there's role models out there, not just as individuals, but also as organisations.
100%, fully agree.
Yeah. So now, a little twist to your question. So what you said about, increasing the membership and everything, which is great. If I was to ask the same question to a random selection of the members as to what do you think have been the best things that have happened in Glyn's tenure, what do you think they would say?
Well, I don't think necessarily they would focus on Glyn's tenure, because I think that probably, with all due respect to the great work that the board has done, it should be during the last X period of time. Because and that's really where the success comes from. It's not about one person.
Exactly.
It's not about my name or the IATA time that I had before. It's about the vision of, now we've got 20 great guys on the board. It's a cross-section of the industry. They went through a transformation program before I joined. So they did all the hard work. I had the easy job. I came on and they said, look, we're going to set a great path for the future to diversify in many areas. We want to add value, excuse me, and we want to support the industry to a much greater degree than we have done in the past. So the membership would say that, and I call it Tiaka 2.0, which is very much aligned with industry needs. It's focused much more about communicating with the member at grassroots level and taking all of that intelligence and turning it into global programs of how we can support everywhere. We now have regional representatives. We've actually just recently had one join us in the UAE. Plus we have India and Latin America, and we will expand that program going forward, because we want to be seen as the global association that truly represents the voice of the air cargo industry. Yeah,
no, nice one. And I knew you were going to answer that, Glyn, because humility and the focus on the team is what you talk about a lot. So that was well put and well respected. So fair play to you, and that's what they do. Now, just to finish and wrap up a little bit, if you were given the chance now, as we walked out of here and you said, Chris, I wish 2 things would happen in the next 18 months, what do you think those 2 things would be?
Can I ask for hair regrowth, or is that too late? So you want realistic things that are going to happen?
Yeah, no more rainbows.
So we'll take, the rainbow question has gone, no hair. 18 months. Okay, well, the first thing I have to say is I hope from the political standpoint that the role that the air cargo industry has played over the last 25 years in supporting the global economy is currently under threat. The World Bank actually did an analysis that over 1 billion people have been taken out of extreme poverty since the early 90s because of the expansion of the global economy. Globalization has caused global prosperity, or has created global prosperity. When we're currently in a time right now where that is under threat, protectionist measures that have obviously been started in the US and have been resulted in retaliatory measures is seeking to question the existence of the global economy. There's no winners in that fight. No winners. People will sadly lose jobs. People sadly lose lives, because if you lose that ability to integrate economies, then things will suffer as a consequence. Products will become too expensive. People will make decisions and choices. So I would say, first and foremost, I would hope that the political landscape globally goes back to re-embrace globalization of the global economy based on global prosperity. That will then create a much more healthy environment for us as an industry. I think the second thing, which I'm now going to come into the industry, I would hope that over the next 18 months, the great work that this industry does. I mean, you and I have spoken for years about this. We can talk to people in this room till we're blue in the face, but we need to talk to people outside of this room. We need the world to understand that their lives are enriched by what the great people in air cargo do. They saw it during COVID, but they need to see it every day. Every time they have a family member that needs medical treatment, every time they want to buy a smartphone, every time they want to give flowers for Mother's Day or for Valentine's Day, This industry enables that, and we need to get that message out there.
Can I ask you something on that? So the PR and the branding and how we put that out is so important. Sometimes, depending which country I'm in, I look at the adverts and I think, oh my God, that's crazy, that's off the wall, that makes sense. With all the associations, and especially IATA as we're sitting here, have they ever had an ad campaign that just shows people what happens in reality? No,
are we on the record or off the record?
No, whichever, on the record, off the record, on a cassette, you know. but what's that? I don't understand why they've never done that and shown the little sequences of, did you know? This is all done by the cargo
I've made some
community.
proposals. I made some proposals when I was with IATA and when I left, that the reach of an association like IATA is 100-fold more than us.
Yeah.
We are 4 people, they are 1,400. I said, if we all got together,
That's it.
ASA, FIATA, TIACA, IATA,
Yeah.
the visual stories of air cargo they bring people to tears.
Yeah.
You know, if you see the life-changing things of donor organs, the flowers, the wedding gifts, etc., everything that's in motion in human society has an air cargo component. It's visual. We know passenger travel have the visualization if you go diving in the Maldives, or you go Disney World, etc., you go on a beach in wherever, very visual. We have even greater visualization because the visuals from air cargo are about how your life has been enriched by what we do. We could have some great campaigns that could really
just quick
go
punchy
through
ones.
TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, Shorts, etc.
Yeah.
Very visual. We're too fragmented. We collectively don't do it, and we should do. It's very difficult for one sector to do it alone.
That's what I'm saying. It should be collectively,
but it should be collective.
under the umbrella of IATA. And it's almost like having a Love Actually moment. You know, at the end of the film when they show all the pictures of people greeting and happy and flowers, and it should be cargo actually.
Yeah.
And did you know? And if that happened, I think people would start to realize,
visual.
and that would bring people into the business more.
Of course it would. And
You know?
sorry to do a shameless plug, but my daughter's a social media influencer.
There you go.
And some of her videos have been reached by over 11 million people.
Yeah.
Now, can you imagine if we took one of the great visuals from this industry and project that through social media to the next generation?
Yeah.
The guys that we want to effectively inspire to say, I want to do that. I actually want to change people's lives by having a role in aviation and logistics.
Yeah. And Mohammed Tahir,
He's coming this afternoon. He and I have.
And I've got him on a podcast as well, serious, and we're getting on well. He's a good lad.
Yeah, great guy.
But also that sort of way of doing things.
Yes,
you know?
exactly.
And everybody getting together and doing it all at once.
No, I'd love to see that. I think that's a great 18-month vision as well.
You know, cargo actually. Might even be able to get Hugh Grant to step in and do a little plug.
Well, actually, FedEx a few years ago, I believe it was FedEx or could have been UPS. I think actually it was UPS now. Did I Love Logistics?
Yeah.
And they had a series of campaigns which was about that, individual stories, which showed how it impacts lives. I think that's definitely something where over the next 12 to 18 months we should try and pursue.
Cargo, we care about you.
There you go. You're coming up with all the great marketing taglines.
No, I just, for the life of me, don't understand why they don't do it, you know. But anyhow, Glyn, as always, lovely. Thanks for the spontaneity and also for just being here with us. Always appreciated.
It's always a pleasure talking to you, Chris. Thanks so much.
Thank you.